The era of the Church Fathers gives way to a new era, a new thing happening on the earth, which is the insertion of the state into the affairs of faith. With Constantine taking the control of the Roman Empire in 306, what you find is a new thing happening on the earth. And so Constantine claims to have become a Christian. Scholars diverge on whether that was really true or not, although most believe that his mother was really a Christian. And what he does is raise Christianity from this entity that had been persecuted on and off by Roman emperors since its inception, and makes it a religion of the equality with the rest of religions. In the Edict of Milan, he makes it neutral. All religions are the same in effect. But what really happened at the Edict of Milan is that Judaism takes its first step into an inferior position juxtaposed against Christianity. And so Constantine begins the process of instituting laws that create a whole new atmosphere as it relates to faith. For one, he inserts the state into affairs of religion. So at the Council of Nicaea, he inserts the state in a position of not dictatorship, but certainly authority in the matters of the church. And at that council, many decisions were made. They decided at that council that it would now become a law of the land that a Jewish person could not hold a civil service office. They could not work for the government. They decided that Jewish people could not own Christian slaves. They began a process of subjugating Judaism underneath Christians. And Constantine at that council makes this statement that I'm going to read to you when I put my glasses on. He says, Easter was separated from Passover at the Council of Nicaea, and when that happened, he further subjugated the Judaism by saying that if on a calendar Easter appears after Passover, then the Jewish people are not allowed to celebrate Passover until after. They can't celebrate it on the date on the calendar. They must celebrate it after the Easter has passed. So it's just the beginning of a series of laws that moved Christianity into a position of superiority. After that, Constantine was the last emperor of Rome to rule over United Kingdom. After that, Theodosian takes over, and Theodosian's got one problem after another. Civil wars, 2 civil wars, economic problems, lots of problems, and he divides the kingdom between his sons. So anyway, in the East, the Constantine had moved the center of power. He moved his government from Rome to what was anciently called Byzantium. He'd renamed it Constantinople, and today it's known as Istanbul. So he moved the center of power for the Roman Empire eastward. And in the East, the Eastern Roman Empire didn't really fall until 1423. So it remained for almost 1,000 years after the Western Roman Empire fell. But in that time, what you see is a progressively increasing number of laws that force Judaism and Jews out of society. So from under Theodosian, the synagogues were places of worship, but he made it a law that you could not build any new synagogues, no new synagogues, but you could fix up the ones that you had. He tightened the laws around slave ownership. He increased the circle around what the definition of civil service was, decreasing the jobs that could Jews could have. You couldn't be in the military, you couldn't be in the government, you couldn't be in any form of civil service. And while that was not completely enforced, wasn't enforceable in the beginning, it it was in the end, and it became the concept that society had in its mind, which is that Jews weren't worthy of these really good jobs. So Justinian developed a code as he came in the 500s, increasing the laws around slavery, which really the inability to have a Christian slave and the inability, Jews were restricted from becoming Christians. So all a person had to do, a non-Jewish person had to do, was claim Christianity, and they couldn't be enslaved by a Jewish person, and this just put restraints on their ability to succeed financially. They made North Africa a place where all the religions besides Christianity were quote unquote pagan, and so they had different rules. And also during this period of time from Constantine on, they instituted a tax, which was that the Jews had to pay for, being a Jew, much like Islam did. They had a tax that Christians and Jews had to pay. So the Romans instituted this tax that was also a tax on your economic success, as opposed to Christians who didn't have to pay that tax. So that's what happened in the East. The religious rights of the Jewish people and were being constrained. The economic means available to them to provide for their families were being constrained, and their movement, within the strata of society was being restrained, such that with increasing force, the options for a Jewish person within the Eastern Roman Empire were limited.